that feeling literally has not left. I've always gone to the gym excited, and you would think that 17 years later, that feeling would have started to fade, but I still get excited, just excited to walk into the gym.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hit Zero Show. Hope you guys are doing well, still stuck at home for a little bit longer, but it looks like we might be on our way out of the craziness. I don't know about your state. I'm sure we'll talk about it here soon. Texas is like 9 days, I think we are. Let's see, at 8 days. We're 8 days away, and it can't come faster, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I'm dying. So joining me today, guys, is a man with a cheer resume that I think is surprisingly is longer than mine. Goodness gracious. So currently director of American Cheer out in California, has a history in the sport that is very, very extensive that I'm excited to share with all of you guys and introduce you to him and let him tell his story a bit, and also share about some of the projects that he's currently working on in the cheer world. Everybody, I'd like to introduce to you Jason Larkins. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. Cue in the applause, the laugh track, all that good stuff. Yeah. But no, I'm super excited to be on today. This is super cool. I've been following your show for quite a while now, so I'm just excited to be a part of it, and love everything you got going. You did a I know you didn't ask anything yet, but you did one about how to keep your back straight with the PVC pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it because I just discovered that. Literally, I just discovered that like 2-3 weeks before that, or something like that. And I was mind blown by it. And I'm thinking, I'm the only person in the world who knows about this. And then you did the whole video. I was like, he took it from me. So, you have a great platform, and I love what you got going on.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I had, it's funny in this world we live in these days. We see a lot of faces so often digitally. And
Mm-hmm.
you. In our world is, it's big, but it's small. I look at it, it's kind of like a hometown, even in a big city. It may be a big city, but you feel like everybody. And the beauty of social media and things these days, we're able to almost feel like somebody, mm-hmm. regardless of if you met them in person or not. And I know that when you and I, had the opportunity to finally meet face to face and talk a little bit more at NCA. We both kind of looked at each other and like, I know you, and I know you know me, and I know that I know you, and I don't know how, but here we are. But it was, in getting to actually talk, it felt like we'd known each other for quite some time, even
for sure.
Even though it was, kind of early on. But I'm glad to get you on the show. And I know, we have some mutual friends that have told me a bit about what your background and kind of their history with you, either cheering with you or working with you. And everybody's had just nothing but amazing things to say about you. So I truly am glad to have you on and introduce you to everybody. So tell us, for those that aren't familiar with you, maybe some of our younger crowd, that are some of the newer athletes that may have seen your face on social media, just like the rest of us have. Tell us a little bit about your background in cheer, how you got started, kind of how that story ebbed and flowed to now being the director at American Cheer.
All right, let's see. So my sister started off doing cheerleading. My sister's 2 years younger than me, and she had been doing Pop Warner recreational cheer since we were very, very young. I was in Pop Warner football, so starting in the first grade. My sister started cheering when she was like in kindergarten, preschool type thing. And, my mom wanted us, she wanted her daughter to cheer for her son on the football team. So we've always been involved in cheer as a cheer family. And she got a little bit more, she discovered all-star cheerleading and, was like, oh, there's a whole new world. So then we really became involved as a cheer family, and I'm going to competitions, all those sorts of things. And throughout that whole time, every so often my mom would go, hey, did you see that co-ed team today? You want to join? I'm like, no, I don't, cheer. I definitely did not want to cheer. And I was, I'll go and support my sister, but I definitely do not want to cheer. And about my sophomore year in high school, my cousin moved in with us, and he already knew how to do a round up tuck. He taught himself how to do a round up tuck. And so one day he shows this off for my mom, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, he can really do it." And she's like, "If I sign you up for tumbling, will you take the tumbling classes?" And he's like, "Only if my cousin takes them with me." So I'm like, man, that sounds really close to cheerleading. I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I eventually, relent and take these tumbling classes and, learn a couple of things, handspring, tuck, stuff like that. And the coach at the gym, for those of you guys old school, know Tim Paslakwa, old Kentucky cheerleader. He was coaching at the gym. He coached the power tumbling team and the co-ed team. And he's like, "Hey, we're gonna have a little co-ed clinic tonight. Teach you guys how to stunt." And I'm still like, "No, I really don't want to do this." "Oh, don't worry. There's gonna be girls and there's gonna be pizza
It's how they
and we're gonna
always
stunt."
it's how they
Yeah.
always get us, man. It's with the girls.
I'm like, "All right, okay, I'll try." And my cousin's like, "Come on, let's try it. Let's try it." So go out and we do, we learn how to stunt. I learn a walk up chair, which is my very first stunt. And I'm like, "Oh, here we go. I got it."
Which surprisingly is like you'd be surprised how many people can't do that anymore.
Yeah, can't do
You
it
look,
at all.
it's like elite level stunners look at a walk up chair.
Mhm. What am I doing? Which hand? Actually, funny about that, the walk up chair is, so I was only with that gym for like 2 weeks because my sister was with another gym that she actually did all star cheerleading with.
Mm.
So my mom's like, "Okay, if you're actually going to do cheerleading, you need to go to the same gym your sister's at." So we traveled down to what was called Champion Outlaws, which has gone through a couple gym mergers. Since then, it's now, you probably formerly know it as Cheer Force San Diego, but it was
Uh,
Champion Outlaws at the time.
yeah, I did not know
And
that.
so,
Interesting.
yeah, and so we were there, and I remember going, and they're like, "So what can you do?" My first day, what have you done already? I'm like, "I've done a walk up chair and a toss chair." And they're like, we probably won't be using any of those studs." So he kind of like looked at me like, I'm thinking, "Yeah, I'm experienced. Let's go." And he's like, "Yeah, no.
I
So
don't
you
I
don't
don't
know
I
anything."
don't think you heard me. I said a toss chair. Thank
But yeah, so I cheered for Champion, and we ended up winning UCA All Star Nationals that year, which was, the pinnacle of our season. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Dude, we won." Um, they went Champion went small co-ed the next year. I won't get too much into this story, but Champion went small co-ed that year. So my best friend and I, who were cheering together, we decided to play football and just kind of quit cheer altogether.
Mhm.
And after football season was done, it was kind of like, dude, I kind of miss cheerleading. But Champion already has an established team. Every other gym in the town, in the city, or in the region was small co-ed, except for California All Stars. They had a large co-ed. They're the last large co-ed team to survive. So we went to California All Stars, which is a crazy thing because at the time, especially at the time, Champion and Cali were real big rivals. And so end up cheering at California All Stars. Cheered there, and that's where I finished my All Star career. Ended up cheering at Palomar College, also in San Diego. We won UCA College Nationals there, and then transferred to Stephen F. Austin State University in the great state of Texas, and go Jacks. And I cheered there for several years. We won NCAA a few times when I was there. Did Team USA after that, and I started coaching at California Baptist University. I coached there for 6 years, and when I was there, we won. Coached there for 6 years, and then when I was there, my last 4 seasons there, we won NCAA in the Division two all girl. And at that same time, I was coaching at Pacific Coast Magic in Southern California, and we had a couple of NCAA, a couple of summit titles, and then all of that led to the opportunity to run the cheer program here at American. So
Very cool, man. So in total, how many as an athlete and as a coach, how many national titles do you have? And or USA titles?
um, it's the one world championship. I think it's 10 NCAA.
Hmm.
I think it's 10 between all stars and college, and two UCA, and it's, how many summit is it? It's let's see, 3 at the old gym
Hmm.
plus the 4 here, so 7 summits.
So we're looking at 20 total national or world titles.
There we go. I
I hope your jewelry box is big enough.
Dude, this is crazy. I have a jewelry box at the gym, and I have a jewelry box at the gym. It sits on my desk. It's all of the like the big rings, none of the summit rings, but it's all like the big, college rings, right?
Golf balls.
And they're all in there. Yeah, and they're all in there. And the other day, I walked into the gym, and my ring box is sitting not in my office, but out in the gym area. And I'm like, what's
Hmm.
going on? Like, oh, we had to move some stuff. We were cleaning. And I'm like, you just throw this box. This is my hard earned. This is my blood, sweat, and tears right here, guys. So
We were gonna throw it away, but it's we
yeah,
realized what it was after we took it out. Well, I mean, that's incredible, man. That is it's it's amazing. You know, I mean, they're athletes and coaches that you know would love to have a single title, and and that's not to take away from any team or program that hasn't won a championship of that caliber. It's merely to point out that like you said, that's the level of work and the time and the energy and the effort that through your career. That's an incredible. That's amazing, man. Congratulations.
thank you very much. I've had some really talented coaches who my coaches really shaped the way I viewed cheerleading.
Hmm.
If I hadn't have gone to champion, followed very closely by California All Stars, I wouldn't have the same outlook and perspective on cheer. Like they just set such a high standard for what cheerleading was and what clean and sharp and execution was. And those moments, and then I went to Stephen F. Austin, going there, and we had a couple of tough losses while I was there, and it
Hmm.
really like broke my heart. And I didn't want to feel those feelings of being upset and coming up short, and that mixed with the other background just really got me on this path of how to figure out how to maximize my potential. So shout out to everyone who poured into your boy.
Yeah, man. Part of every person has an important role in that. So what you know? Obviously, you've got you've had tons of success, and we're talking years and years that you've been in the sport. For some people, it's easy to say I've done it all. So you start to see that passion die. So what is it in you that lights your fire every day? That continues to keep you in the gym, that makes you excited to see those blue panel mats every day.
I just have not lost the that feeling. I remember I first joined. It was called that first gym I did my walk up chair toss chair at was called TVS, Temecula Valley Stars. And I made the team. Didn't even know I was trying out, but I made the team and I go to practice and I have a good time and I'm trying to learn what this whole cheerleading thing is. And it's super exciting just to try to learn, well, how do I, that feeling. You're trying to do your toss hands, you're trying to do your round off tuck, or you're trying to do whatever it is. And just that feeling of trying to get that next skill.
Hmm.
And that feeling literally has not left. I've always gone to the gym excited. And you would think that 17 years later, that feeling would have started to fade, but I still get excited, just excited to walk into the gym to coach as I did to walk into the gym my first year in cheer and continue to learn and all those things. So, and every year it's something different. I love walking. It's one of the first things I do. I walk into the gym and I honestly look at our banners and I look and I just think about all the hard work it took to achieve those. And that, and I told this story to the kids all the time. In wrestling, the guy comes down, or in boxing, the guy comes down, he has his belt, and he's like, I am the champion. Here's my belt. And, and at the end of the fight, if he loses, they go, that is no longer your belt. And they take the belt from him and they give the belt to the other guy. And I always tell the kids, they're not doing that in cheerleading. That banner, 2019 banner, is not going anywhere. If we lose this year, no one's coming into the gym and taking that banner away from us and giving it to someone else. If we have to go out there and earn a new one if we want one. And I just believe in winning competitions by winning practice and winning practice 1/8 kind of time. And just day in, day out, you had the one video about Kobe, and Kobe's work ethic was just so relentless. And, him and Steph, like those guys, like really inspired me just to, wow, Will Smith, these guys have such relentless work ethic that it just inspires me to inspire others the way that they have, done for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's one of the things that I find with, when I'm working with athletes, let's say an injured athlete, that is rehabbing from an ankle sprain or a low back injury from tumbling. At and even athletes not in cheer, when I'm working with like a
Hmm.
basketball player or soccer player, one of the things that I see happen often in these kids is, we get to a point to where it's time to release them back to activity, and we have this conversation of, okay, these are the things we need to do moving forward. We need to foam roll when you feel tight in these areas. We need to stretch this at least once a day for the next few weeks. We need to work on continuing to improve your strength here. And we lay out this plan of, number one, to make sure that we're trying to minimize reoccurrence, but number two, we want to take that athlete and try to push them beyond recovery from this injury and almost into like
Hmm.
that next level. And every once in a while, I'll get an athlete that you can tell that their response is a little bit in frustration of like, I have to do this stuff, and
Hmm.
it's almost like they feel that they're less of a, they're a lower caliber athlete because they take these extra steps.
Hmm.
And I really have to sit down with them, and what I try to like explain to even the kids that aren't necessarily injured or hurting is ties into what you just said about the work ethic of these high level athletes. And it's so easy for our kids to watch their heroes on TV, and that's it. And that's all that they see.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
that's all they understand. And they think that, it's almost like in the back of their head, they think, okay, this person comes on, they play their sport, they win, they go and they celebrate, they live lavish life, they hang out and
Hmm.
just relax by the pool and all this stuff. And I try to explain to these kids, the difference between why these athletes are so good and why their names are all, over ESPN, everything you see is because those 20 extra hours that you don't see, they're
Yep.
doing more of like what I'm asking you to do than anybody else. They're the ones
100%.
they're the ones rehabbing, they're the ones working out, they're the ones stretching, they're the ones going through drills, they're the ones doing this and doing that. And so I try to get, to flip that switch in our athletes to understand like we're giving you the tools for you to be better than the other people. Because if you are foam rolling and stretching and rehabbing and prehabbing, I guarantee you everybody else on your team isn't.
Hmm.
And now you're going to be the standout because you are taking care of yourself. And so the I want to create that paradigm shift in our athletes that it's okay to do things extra to be better. That's not
Hmm.
just cheering, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm glad that you brought up that work ethic part because I feel like that's an overlooked part of the work, so to say,
Hmm.
that a lot of our athletes either A don't know about or B look at it as it makes them less of an athlete, so
Hmm.
they don't want to have to rely on it to be better.
Yeah. No,
And
for sure.
it's frustrating.
No, for
So
sure.
what what are you currently, I know obviously we're all in kind of a unique situation with where we're at with our seasons and where we're at rolling into the next phases of our careers and cheer, both on a coach side and an athlete side. So um what current projects are you doing now to like kind of keep your sanity during everything, and what what are you looking into next season? What are we looking to see from you guys, and both on a competitive side, but also like internally, what are you guys looking at to doing to making this a successful season?
Let's see. Um, the big thing, being stuck at home, you're like, what should I be doing? And I downloaded TikTok. You know, the kids were, hey, coach, you gotta get a TikTok. All right, I'll get a TikTok. And scrolling through, and you just become a consumer. You're just looking and seeing what's going on the app. And now every so I am not on it as much as I was originally.
Hmm.
But I was on it at the beginning of quarantine and scrolled past this video, and he said, if you do not come out of quarantine with a new skill, a new side hustle, a new, I can't remember the last one, new knowledge, then time wasn't your, handicap. It was discipline. And I sat back and really thought about that. And I'm like, all right, if I'm going to be stuck at home, there's so many things I said I'm going to get done that I haven't gotten done, that I got to get something done with this time. I can't be out here saying, time was my issue and time wasn't my issue. So I decided to start a podcast. So I'm trying to be like you now, that's been pretty fun. It's, you make it look so easy.
Trial and error. Trial
Yeah.
and error. So tell us the name of your podcast, and for those that are joining us here, we're going to put a link to a show. But tell us the name of it.
Let's Talk Cheer.
Love it.
So there you go. Let's Talk Cheer with Jason Larkins. You'll see a nice little, I'm the thumbnail, and it'll be easy to spot.
So on your podcast, what kind of things can listeners expect? I mean, what kind of things what kind of content are you putting out?
I really just want to, stuff happens all the time in the cheer world, and I have my thoughts and my reactions. And what's funny? I often don't post on coaches' pages or even, post my opinion on things on my own personal Facebook or anything like that. I
Mm-hmm.
typically keep those opinions to myself, but I'll, think about it, have conversations to myself. My wife will catch me talking to myself. Like, who are you talking to? She didn't even ask that anymore. She knows who I'm talking to. She knows I'm talking to myself. I'm just arguing with myself. And so I used to write blogs about some of those things that bothered me, or
Mm-hmm.
that I had an opinion about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided that, expressing it via podcast would be, another avenue for me. So I'm really just going to be talking about whatever I want. Now, the first couple have been me reacting to some industry news. So the first one was reacting to Worlds being canceled and Summit still, going on. And
Mm-hmm.
the second one was to if seniors should get a second year or an additional year of eligibility for,
Right.
Worlds and Summit.
Yeah,
And so those have been the
that's a
first
hot
two.
topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
Hot topic. And I
I'll tell
actually
you this:
argue both sides.
I'm not an opinion. We talked about this before. I'm not really in the business of opinions, but I do have thoughts on that, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious what your thoughts are. So I am definitely going to go listen to that episode because I've got my thoughts on it. I think there are arguments to both sides. Personally, and I know without going into detail, I think that it should just be, we should just move on. And that's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything malicious to try to take away from anybody's senior year. And I'm sure there are great arguments
Mm-hmm.
on both sides. And, I would be willing to listen to both sides. I know that there are some big names. I know Victor and Victor Rosario and Top Gun, they put out their
Mm-hmm.
official stance on it, which I respect the heck out of, for taking a stand on a large platform and saying that they
Yep.
believe they should. Personally, my gut reaction when I heard that this debate was going on was to let's just end it. Let's cut it
Mm-hmm.
and let's just move on. As heartbreaking as it is, as frustrating as it is, just for me, I feel like it opens a big can of worms that,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have kind of those ripples into the future that, we're going to have to deal with as well, that,
Yeah.
kind of pours in one season after another. Well, what about this and what about that? And but this time we did that. And I feel like just cutting it off and saying, okay, let's move on with our lives personally.
Yeah.
But I would definitely be, open to hearing arguments from both sides. So I'm definitely going to go check out your episode.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I do argue both sides. So I spent a lot of time because it kind of seems like the cheer world has backed at least from the posts I've seen. The cheer world has backed seniors should get another year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I won't be mad if they get another year. But I did argue the other side for probably a majority of the episode. But, I said this at the end of the podcast. At the end of the day, those kids are going to be okay.
Yeah.
They're going to survive. It sucks. And it really does. And I feel terrible for them and anyone who's, we're all suffering right now during this situation. And those kids are going to survive and they're going to move on. And, but but that's life sometimes. And, it's the hard reality that's life. And my big thing with the podcast or with that episode is that what is best for the athletes? Is it best for those athletes to stay in the sport? Or is it better for those athletes to move on and do something else with their lives at this point, So anyway, check out the podcast.
Yeah, definitely going to listen. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that's the biggest thing is, there's good and bad. There's good points to both sides. And I agree with you. No matter what, 10 years from now, our kids are going to be perfectly fine. It's going to be a blip on the radar, maybe a frustrating blip for some. But I agree. I think that regardless of what happens, I think we're all going to be able to look at the decision that's made and all be able to say, okay, I understand. And I see the reasons why. I see the good that came, maybe not good. So yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. As far as in like the history of cheer that you've done a lot of things directly, either coaching or athlete, outside of just direct coach and athlete responsibilities. What other things have you done? Other things that you're looking to do, maybe, kind of looking into the future. What are some things that you want to continue to add to, not necessarily add to your resume, but kind of like evolve in your career as cheer is involved?
I think the biggest thing for me is helping coaches maximize their potential. And I love to coach. I knew while I was cheering that I was going to be a better coach than I was an athlete. And I just always remember being at practice and analyzing practice and our efficiency. And I always remember thinking, if I was coaching, I would be doing this right now. Like this would make this more efficient. Or if I were coaching, this is what I would do. Like, this is a great idea. And I'm going to take that if I become a coach one day or when I become a coach one day. And I've always just analyzed our practices and like the classroom setting and always figured that out or been trying to figure things out. And so like one of my biggest passions besides coaching the actual athletes is honestly coaching coaches and just trying to teach them, different techniques on, well, if you say it like this, then you'll get this result. Or when you say it like that, that's a result you might get. But if you do it like this, it'll take you down this path. And so I've been able to express that via Varsity U. So I've spoke for Varsity U for the last 2 summers, which has been really cool. And then, other gyms will say, hey, come out. World Cup, not to name drop anyone, but they flew me out, which was really cool. And I got to speak with their coach. They had like 45 coaches there. Yeah, it was deep. So yeah. But other Premier Athletics, a couple other ones. I'm just gonna name drop a couple. But
my friend Paul McCartney told me it's not cool to name drop.
But it's that's like one of my other big things is just coaching coaches and just trying to get them to, because we all have this potential in us that we all want to maximize. And so any way I can help other coaches maximize their potential, I want to be able to do that.
So tell me, I personally haven't been to a Varsity U event. I've seen a lot about it, and I've seen, some positive feedback from coaches that have gone. For those that haven't been to Varsity U, maybe haven't heard of it, or maybe have and have been on the fence. Give us some information, kind of like the inside view of what exactly Varsity U is, what coaches can expect, and then kind of more specifically what your topics have been and what you've taught on, and then maybe things that you're looking to teach on.
Well, Varsity needs to be paying me for this right now, but no, Varsity U, it's a really good resource. We took our staff the very first season they did Varsity U, and I was blown away by the information we got. So I wasn't speaking that year, But I remember sitting in on Tanya Roselle's class about marketing, and I was blown away with everything she talked about. But they cover a variety of topics, everything with cheerleading, marketing and social media, stunts, tumbling. There's psychology. There's a whole, slew of things that they cover during these, and they go beginner, back walkovers all the way to fulls.
Mm.
So it's a pretty cool doubles college cheer. But they cover everything, so it's a really good resource. I really enjoy being there. I've spoken on my favorite topic to speak on. I basically take coaches through our season. So I speak on how to prepare practice, like practice efficiencies, basically planning practices during the summer. And then that moves into how to prepare for a full out routine so that your kids can, the goal is to get your kids to hit their very first attempt at a full out, how they can actually hit the very first attempt, not just, close your eyes and pray. And then that moves into, right, that's what we all used to do, right?
Right.
And then that moves into how to clean your routine. And then I do a really cool topic that I like called Cheer A to Z. So I just take letters from the alphabet and go, all right, letter A. And we just go through and I give you a tip on cheerleading, starting with, every letter of the alphabet and, take it from there. I'll give you an example, but I can't remember what A is. But yeah, and then
That's all
let's
good.
see. Yeah. And then
So,
I want to speak on crucial conversations, which is
okay.
a really cool
So it'd be
topic.
like
But
talking with athletes, talking with parents and things like that.
exactly. Just how to have a crucial conversation. Yeah, because so many times we have a conversation with someone and we go, dude, that totally, we come in. I just saw this meme the other day, and it's what you want to say, what you can say, what you actually say, what they understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about getting what you actually want to say to that person so they can actually understand all of it. And if we cannot effectively communicate, then, what is life, right? So
Yeah.
we have to be able to express ourselves, tell people hard truths, allow them, they have to be receptive to it so they can
Mm-hmm.
actually take that feedback and make adjustments and, move on from there. But a lot of times there's hard truths we want to tell people. We don't end up saying it because we don't want to hurt their feelings or we're scared of the confrontation it's going to create. And we let them continue in that same pattern. And after that, and you continually grow frustrated because they haven't changed their behavior, but you haven't
Right.
told them anything.
Right.
Or when you told them things, you told them in such a confrontational way that you're no longer solving that. You're just fighting each other.
Yeah. So have you been to USASF national meeting?
I've never been. Oh, you know what? I used to be the rules guy at Pacific Coast Magic. And so
Okay.
they would literally just send me for the rules. There you go. Okay,
Okay.
Jason, rules starts at 5 o'clock on Sunday. So be there at 5 o'clock on Sunday. I would just literally just go to the one class
Right.
when they were the regional ones.
Yeah. The reason I ask, I know, I haven't been to Varsity U, but I was at the USASF national meeting last year, and
Mm-hmm.
part of that meeting is educational courses on an array of topics from safety to marketing, veteran gyms versus new gyms, big
Mm-hmm.
gyms versus small gyms, things of that nature. So I know I personally was curious about the comparison of
Mm-hmm.
content and schedule, and I know a lot of coaches were also curious. I talked to a handful of coaches who had been, or hadn't been to one. They'd only been to
Mm-hmm.
USASF and vice versa. So I was just curious if you had been to both and were able to kind of draw a comparison, because I'm sure there's things that overlap,
Yeah.
and then there's obviously going to be things that varsity does that USASF doesn't, and vice versa. So I was
Mm-hmm.
just curious.
Yeah.
So tell us something about you outside of cheer that means a lot to you, that's important to you. I know obviously you've got a beautiful wife. You guys live in a beautiful state, sunny California. But outside of cheerleading, what are some things that you love to do? What are some things that are important to you that also help you to get up in the morning and put your socks and shoes on?
Man, I think the working out is like my other big thing, you know? I might be withering away right now because I have been the antithesis of what you're supposed to be during quarantine.
Hmm.
Like I've everyone else is like working out and like, hey, I'm working out in the garage, come join me. And I have not. I My wife and I have walked. We average a couple of miles a day, not a day,
Okay.
a couple of miles a week
Hmm.
walking. But I have not been to the gym since I've not been to the gym since this whole quarantine thing. Not none of us have been to the gym, but I have not like worked out at all the way other people are. Hey, ran my 5 miles today, and I'm just like, I feel terrible. I'm a terrible person. So kids, don't do as I say, not as I do. But I love working out. CrossFit's been really cool. Just again, learning something new.
Hmm.
I haven't done some of these lifts since high school, or some of them at all, and so it's been really cool to learn and challenge myself in that area, and trying to just stay in shape so I can see my grandkids' wedding, right? Um,
So you do
so
CrossFit
that's
as well.
I do.
See,
It's been a
you know,
blast.
I love to hear that, because that is, um, if you do CrossFit, and this is, I know you do, but for those that also follow, a lot of the strength and conditioning styling that I create for cheerleaders is based off CrossFit, and it's
Hmm.
because it is. I joke with my athletes. I say CrossFit is cheerleading with a barbell, and
Hmm.
cheerleading is CrossFit with a human.
100%.
So I had a couple of athletes this past weekend, that I was communicating with about workouts and training, and one was from Texas Tech, the other was from Navarro, and
Hmm.
we were laying out, these are workouts that I want you guys working on, and give me your feedback. And it was, again, as unique, as new to them. That style of training
Hmm.
isn't widely utilized in college. I know a few colleges, West Georgia for sure, they train
Hmm.
their athletes in a CrossFit style training, male and female. Um, and the feedback I got from both of these athletes was like, dude, this is what I need to be doing. Like,
Hmm.
I'm getting the strength, I'm getting the conditioning, it's this is it. And so I'm glad to hear that somebody like yourself, who's also, with the time you spent, and you recognize, after so long, you realize what athletes need, you know.
For
And
sure.
my opinion, and this is where I will give my opinion. You want my opinion? Strength and conditioning and cheerleading is awful. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's awful. And that's not to say anything about the coaches. It's just that there has never been an established what is best practices for strength and conditioning. It's always been an
Hmm.
afterthought. And so
Hmm.
it's we have 20 minutes at the end of practice. Let's do sit-ups and push-ups. Like,
Hmm.
no, that's not right. That's wrong. So,
Yeah.
so I'm glad to hear that so how long have you been doing like CrossFit style training?
Uh, 2 years now, something like that.
Mhm.
About 2 years. So it might be a little. It might be 3 years now, but it's 2 to 3 years. I was trying to work out before. I've always worked out. At least when I was in college, I was working out, and then graduated. Kind of fell off of the whole working out thing, but I wanted to get back in shape. Oh, okay, start lifting again, and I kind of forgot how to lift weights and do everything.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I was in the gym and I felt like I got into decent shape, but I wanted to be in better shape. And I knew to get in better shape, I needed an actual coach to coach me and show me techniques and or spot me on something and all these things. So I'm like, maybe I should get a personal trainer. And my brother-in-law was in love with CrossFit. And he's like, oh, you've got to do CrossFit. It's awesome and all these things. And he just gave me all of the benefits I was looking for as far as I had a coach who was there. I didn't have to think about any workouts. He programmed everything for me. So I just had to wake up, show up at the gym, and it had that accountability because I remember going to, working at a Globo gym, right? Working
Mhm.
out there and just not feeling it. And just,
Yeah.
be on the treadmill warming up and just being like, I'm not feeling it today. And I would just leave and go out the door. And then, the lady at the front desk was like, see you tomorrow. I'm like, maybe. Um, and I like the accountability that I was able to walk into class. And if I wasn't feeling it, I had a coach and I had teammates
Mhm.
who were there who were like, yo, Jason, you got to pick it up. And I love that it started at 9 o'clock. I knew what time I was going to start. I knew what time I was going to end. So all of those things have just made me fall in love with CrossFit. Not necessarily, I don't follow the like CrossFit games or anything, but just
Mhm.
as far as a way of keeping in shape, it's
Sure. It's
it's a
similar,
great way to
and
do
and
it.
it's familiar. That's,
A hundred percent.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly the same way I got into it. I was it's funny, I made fun of it when I got
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from UF, and I was waiting to start grad school, and I was at the Globo gym, and I'll never forget, I saw a guy doing burpee pull-ups
Mm-hmm.
in a Globo gym, and he was using one of the not a rig. It was just one of those like
Mm-hmm.
freestanding dip towers that had a pull up.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
he would do a pull up and he'd hop down on the floor, do a burpee in front of this little tower, jump up, grab it, and it was rocking back and forth. And I'm like looking at this, like, what is this guy doing? And one of the guys with me, he's like, he's doing that CrossFit something. And I
Yeah.
remember thinking like, that is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life. And fast forward, I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years now.
Oh, crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it's just funny how things work out.
Yeah. And I saw a dude at the gym doing CrossFit, at the Globo gym, and you just look out of place doing CrossFit in the gym because everyone else is, "All right, let me get the biceps going and doing the bench," and then you're doing all these like varied movements and it's all these other lifts that you never actually ever work on, like
Hmm.
outside of there. And so I'm like, dude, what's this? Yeah, exactly. I was like, what's this guy doing? Why is he moving so much? And, turn it down, guy.
Why is he
But
doing so much? Like,
yeah,
this is a gym. Stop working so hard.
yeah.
Well, man, dude, I'm glad. I hope to. My big vision, is to see, you know, more established strength conditioning protocols similar to that in our sport. I know with Stars Vipers, the program that I work with, we've spent a lot of energy and time building out a space where we can do that style of training.
Hmm.
And you're starting to see touches of it with USA Weightlifting and USA Cheer
Hmm.
forming the partnership that they did, so that
Yeah.
you get more Olympic lifting for programming. So there's definitely it's starting to happen. You're starting to see this shift. I just hope that more coaches and athletes start to see the benefit of that kind of thing,
Hmm.
because it's people like, all it takes is one person. Like USA Cheer and USA Weightlifting happened because of Colin Cockrell's success. I
Hmm.
mean, junior Olympian, was a year out from the Olympics, and his career shifted to cheer, and you see how good he is, and now
Hmm. Yeah.
USA Cheer wants more Collins. So what do? They find
Hmm.
USA Weightlifting, right? And I just hope that we have more people that see that benefit, because I truly think that when we look at the evolution of the sport, as we transition into Olympic status, we transition into God knows what is going to come
Hmm.
from that. Is it going to stay the same? Are we going to have pro cheerleading leagues? I mean, is there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We have no idea. So I just hope that something like that helps to evolve, continue evolution. I see gears turning.
Yeah. I'm like, all right.
There's
I'll
always
be the
ideas, man.
commissioner.
We sit down and we can go to the gym and sweat it out and have a conversation about it.
For sure.
Well, man, I really appreciate you joining me, and thanks so much for letting our audience get to meet you, and to hear about your story and your background, and kind of your visions for things. I love meeting other people that want to push the envelope with education and evolution of our sport. It's easy to see that you're absolutely in that upper echelon of coaches and visionaries of the sport that want to see it to continue to evolve. And so we'll definitely going to put links to your social media. Definitely going to put links to your podcast. And if you are interested, if any of our listeners are interested, if you have an interest in Varsity U, if you'd like to see Jason speak, or curious about what benefits you may get out of that type of program, I definitely urge you to reach out to him and find out, get those questions answered, because a lot of times, that's all it is. It's one question away that if you had one answer, you could help make your decision. And
Yep.
is extremely welcoming. easy to talk to guy that can definitely help to answer that question for you. So thank you so much for joining me, man. I look forward to getting to see you in person again here soon, hopefully.
For sure, man. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity just to come and speak with you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and you know how it is. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you on the cheer floor, man.
Let's do it. All right, man. Take care.
All right, man. Yeah.